Gary Burghoff was an absolute delight. He brought that great charm to Radar. The teddy bear, the cuddliness, the naivete.
For many television fans, few shows are remembered with as much love and respect as the classic war comedy drama MASH. The series was not just another sitcom about army doctors during the Korean War. It became a cultural phenomenon that mixed humor, emotion, tragedy, and friendship in a way that television audiences had never seen before. Even decades after its final episode aired, people still discuss the unforgettable characters, emotional scenes, and behind-the-scenes stories connected to the show. Among the most beloved characters was Radar O'Reilly, played by Gary Burghoff. Radar was known for his innocent personality, soft voice, and ability to somehow know what was happening before anyone else did. Viewers loved him because he represented kindness and hope in the middle of war. However, while fans saw a lovable and gentle character on screen, life behind the cameras was reportedly far more complicated. Over the years, stories slowly emerged suggesting that Gary Burghoff did not always get along with everyone on the set. Some cast members admired his talent deeply, while others reportedly struggled with his behavior and personality during filming. These stories shocked many longtime fans because the peaceful and caring Radar seemed completely different from the man some actors described behind the scenes. As more interviews, biographies, and insider accounts became public, people began wondering what truly happened during the making of one of television's greatest series. The truth appears to be much more complicated than simple hatred or jealousy. Instead, the tension likely came from stress, exhaustion, creative disagreements, and the enormous pressure of working on one of the biggest television shows in America. Understanding those conflicts requires looking deeper into the history of MASH, the personalities of its actors, and the difficult environment that existed behind the cameras during the show's long and demanding production schedule. Before understanding the reported conflicts surrounding Gary Burghoff, it is important to understand how important MASH itself became in television history. The series first premiered in 1972 and was based on the 1970 film of the same name, which itself came from a novel inspired by real experiences during the Korean War. At first, network executives were unsure whether audiences would accept a television show that combined comedy with the sadness and brutality of war. Yet the show quickly found its identity by balancing funny moments with emotional storytelling. Alan Alda, who played Captain Benjamin Hawkeye Pierce, became the central star of the series and helped shape its direction creatively. The cast worked extremely long hours filming episodes that often required both comedy timing and serious dramatic acting. Unlike many sitcoms of the time, MASH dealt with difficult subjects such as death, trauma, loneliness, and military pressure. That emotional intensity made the show unique, but it also created stress behind the scenes. Actors were expected to perform demanding scenes while also maintaining strong chemistry with one another. Gary Burghoff stood out immediately because his portrayal of Radar O'Reilly was deeply emotional and believable. Radar was shy, sensitive, and almost childlike, which made audiences connect with him instantly. Burghoff's performance added warmth to the series and made Radar one of the most recognizable television characters of the 1970s. However, fame often creates pressure, and as the show became more successful, relationships between cast members reportedly became more complicated. Many actors wanted more screen time, better storylines, and greater creative influence. Working closely together for years also naturally created tension between different personalities. Some actors were calm and easygoing, while others were emotional, perfectionist, or competitive. Over time, stories began spreading that Gary Burghoff could sometimes be difficult to work with despite his undeniable talent. Some reports suggested he became frustrated about not receiving enough appreciation for his work, while others claimed certain cast members simply found his personality challenging during stressful filming days. One of the earliest reported conflicts involving Gary Burghoff was connected to Wayne Rogers, the actor who played Trapper John McIntyre. Rogers was known for being intelligent, outspoken, and sometimes temperamental. During the early years of MASH, Rogers reportedly became unhappy with the way the show increasingly focused on Alan Alda's character, Hawkeye, while reducing the importance of other cast members. This frustration created tension throughout the cast and production team. According to stories shared in biographies and interviews, Rogers and Burghoff sometimes clashed behind the scenes. One famous story claimed Rogers became so angry during an argument that he threw a chair in Burghoff's direction. While some details remain unclear and may have been exaggerated over the years, the story became one of the most talked about behind-the-scenes rumors connected to MASH. The conflict reportedly grew from personality differences and the stressful environment of filming a hit television show. Rogers was ambitious and outspoken, while Burghoff was described by some coworkers as sensitive, perfectionist, and occasionally moody. Long filming schedules only made tensions worse. Television production during the 1970s was extremely demanding, especially for a successful network show producing many episodes each season. Actors often spent long days under hot studio lights while trying to memorize scripts and deliver emotional performances. Small disagreements could easily become major conflicts under those conditions. Eventually, Wayne Rogers left MASH after the third season, partly because of frustrations over contracts and creative direction. Although his departure involved many factors, stories about his tense relationship with Burghoff remained part of MASH history. Fans who watched the series rarely suspected such disagreements existed because the cast maintained professionalism on screen. The chemistry between the characters appeared natural and friendly, which makes the behind-the-scenes conflict even more surprising to many viewers today. Another actor who reportedly had a complicated relationship with Gary Burghoff was McLean Stevenson, who played Colonel Henry Blake. Unlike some of the harsher rumors involving other cast members, Stevenson spoke more honestly and calmly about his experiences working with Burghoff. He reportedly described their relationship as love-hate, explaining that both men sometimes struggled to understand each other. Stevenson admitted that there were times when he caused problems for Burghoff and other times when Burghoff caused problems for him. This honest description suggests that the conflict was not one-sided. Instead, it reflected the reality of different personalities working together under pressure for long periods of time. Stevenson was known for his humor and friendly nature, but he also had ambitions beyond the series. Eventually, he decided to leave MASH because he hoped to become a bigger television star on his own. Like several actors on the show, Stevenson faced pressure from fame and the desire to grow professionally. Burghoff, meanwhile, reportedly struggled with stress, insecurity, and the overwhelming attention that came with playing one of television's most beloved characters. Some reports suggested that he sometimes felt underappreciated compared to Alan Alda, whose role became increasingly dominant as the series continued. Feeling overshadowed may have affected Burghoff emotionally and contributed to tension with co-workers. Despite these difficulties, Stevenson still respected Burghoff's talent and understood why audiences loved Radar so much. Their relationship appears to have been complicated rather than purely hostile. This is important because many modern internet stories exaggerate old Hollywood conflicts for dramatic effect. In reality, most workplace disagreements involve misunderstandings, stress, and personality differences rather than true hatred. The cast of MASH spent years together filming emotional material, and conflicts were almost unavoidable. Yet even with those tensions, the actors continued creating one of the most respected television series ever made, proving that professional dedication often continued despite personal disagreements behind the scenes. Perhaps the most discussed relationship involving Gary Burghoff was his reported conflict with Alan Alda. As the central star of MASH, Alda became the face of the series and gained increasing creative control over time. He not only acted in the show but also wrote and directed many episodes. Alda was widely respected for his intelligence, professionalism, and leadership, but his growing influence may have unintentionally created resentment among some cast members. According to various reports, Gary Burghoff sometimes felt overlooked despite the popularity of Radar O'Reilly. Radar was one of the show's most beloved characters during the early seasons, yet much of the public attention focused on Hawkeye and Alan Alda. Some insiders claimed Burghoff wanted more recognition and greater creative input. These feelings reportedly caused tension between him and Alda during production. Certain accounts described Burghoff as becoming distant, frustrated, or difficult during filming, while others argued that he was simply exhausted from the pressures of fame and constant work. Burghoff also dealt with personal struggles outside the show, including stress affecting his health and family life. Fame can place enormous emotional pressure on actors, especially when they feel trapped by a single role. Radar became so iconic that audiences strongly connected Burghoff to the character, making it difficult for him to separate his personal identity from the role. Eventually, Burghoff chose to leave MASH before the series ended, partly because he wanted to spend more time with his family and reduce stress in his life. His departure marked a major emotional moment for the show because Radar represented innocence and heart within the chaotic world of the series. Although rumors about conflicts with Alan Alda continue to attract attention today, the reality was likely more complex than simple hatred. The pressures of television fame, creative differences, long working hours, and emotional exhaustion probably affected everyone involved. Despite these problems, the actors still created unforgettable performances that continue entertaining audiences decades later. In the end, the story behind Gary Burghoff and the MASH cast is not simply about anger or conflict. It is a reminder that even legendary television productions are created by real people with emotions, insecurities, ambitions, and struggles hidden behind the cameras. Even with the tensions and disagreements that reportedly existed behind the scenes, Gary Burghoff remained one of the most important parts of MASH during its early years. His portrayal of Radar O'Reilly gave the series emotional balance at a time when many storylines dealt with death, injury, and the horrors of war. Radar was more than just a comedy character. He represented innocence in a place filled with chaos. While Hawkeye used humor and sarcasm to survive emotionally, Radar often reacted with honesty and quiet sadness. Audiences connected deeply with that vulnerability. Many viewers saw Radar almost as the heart of the camp because he cared about everyone around him. Burghoff's acting style helped make those emotions feel